So my manager laughed at me and he was like, who do you think tried to make a career out of cutting hair? And I never looked back from there. I mean, like today I'm truly blessed that I make that decision and not being able to listen to people.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to another episode of In Conversations with Naomi. Today with us, we have a legend. Sheldon, a very warm welcome to our conversation. We have Sheldon Tatchell. He is the CEO, founder, he's an entrepreneur, just an absolutely amazing man that is here to talk to us about Sheldon and his brand. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me on the show, Naomi. Looking forward to it.
Oh, you're very welcome. So, Sheldon, you grew up in Johannesburg.
Yes.
You are from a community that we call Eldorado Park.
Yes.
It's basically the hood.
Yes.
So that's where you started. Tell us a little bit about young Sheldon.
Yeah, no, I think growing up, especially in a community like Eldorado Park, you get to experience all things negative and positive,
Yes,
and you firsthand exposed to these things, like on a daily basis. Like I would literally hear a helicopter at our flats that we were staying, and these were the activities that were always taking place. So there was always these, and it was normal for us. I mean, like,
and these helicopters are like cops.
They're busy looking for stolen cars.
Right.
So those were the type of norms that we grew up to. I mean, like, but one thing that I would say that I was coming from a Christian background. I think that just kept me more sane than anything else, because Mom used to always teach me the Christian values of the decisions that you make. And from a very young age, I knew what was right and what is wrong. And the decisions that you make will basically lead you into the destiny that will come in the future. So I was a kid growing up. I was very athletic. I used to play a lot of sports, and trying to stay away from the negative side of things and just keeping myself occupied each and every time with positive things. And I mean, with that being said, I think that's where the entrepreneurship also kicked in.
Yeah,
because
that's where
it
it started.
all started. I mean, I can remember at the age of 12 years old. So I used to get spending to go to school, and it was like 2 rand back then per day.
I remember the 2 rand.
Yeah.
We'd buy bompies with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you can only afford like 2 things or 3 things.
Right.
Yes.
Bompy or fudge? Which one is it going to be
you can
today?
choose.
Yes.
Yeah. And I saved it up for like 10 days. So I saved this up, and I decided to go to a local cash and carry to go buy a box of ice cream. So in this box, there was 20 pieces of this. I don't know if you can remember Caramel Crunch. So Caramel Crunch used to be like, and that was Caramel Crunch.
There was an orange one too. The orange one was my favorite.
The mint one as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So then I bought this box of ice cream and started to sell, and I went door to door. So we lived at a flat. So I went door to door to all of these people and knocked on the door, and I said, you know what, can I sell you ice cream? And some people said no, some people said yes. And I think what was difficult for me back then, and just to highlight that, at the age of 12 years old, I used to stutter as a child.
Okay.
And my stuttering ability, despite being able to do these things, now you can imagine you going up to people and you're asking them, can you please just buy my ice cream? and some people laugh.
And some of our people are very cruel, right? Especially the kids.
Yeah. And some people would laugh, and some people would say, you can't even speak right. What are you selling ice cream for?
Get away from them. Leave us alone.
What are you selling ice cream for? But eventually, I started selling that. My first box finished, and I made like $40 off that first box, and I went back and I went to go and replenish, and this drove in me the ability to have the confidence to want to assist back home, because at the time I only had maybe one parent that was working, Mom wasn't working, so now you're trying to cover up as as a young kid, trying to help where you can, and always thinking about these ways. And that's how I stumbled on cutting hair. So cutting hair for me wasn't. I think I saw it as an opportunity at the age of 14 years old, and I was like, okay, if I'm able to actually sell my time, because if you think about it, you're a teenager and you have so much time in the day, all you have to do is just get yourself a clipper.
Yes.
And if you get yourself...
Why didn't you want to play? What made you think, I can actually now go and sell, I can go and cut people's hair? Because I find that our young people do not think that I can help in the household, right? You always expect it's mom's job, it's dad's job. But besides that value that your mom instilled in you, how did you come up with those ideas? What made you think this is what I can do to go and make some money?
Yeah, no, I think it comes back to not being able to look at them as my source. Because if I look at them as my source, then I'm just reliant on them to provide certain things. And I do understand they do have a responsibility as parents to take care of me. But looking at the circumstances around you, you have to be proactive and come up with ways and means in terms of how you can get through this, this current wave that you're going through. And I think that was my mindset at a very young age. I never used to put pressure on them. Although we used to see the kids in school wearing the latest clothing. I mean, Sheldon, the sneakers and all of these things. You know, my mother reminded me the other day. She says she used to buy me clothing at Strataforts. I don't know if you know Strataforts. Strataforts is actually in the street. So those aunties that sell the clothing in the street.
And you were happy with that, right?
And we were happy with that. And I mean, that was me growing up. And there was, it was so interesting because you didn't have much. You understand? I can remember Naomi this one time, like my cousin's boyfriend. So he used to wear this nice clothing, and I saw him and I was like, I like your teki, and he used to wear La Costa teki, and I was like, that's a very nice teki. And every time I see him, I would compliment him. I say, that teki you wear, very nice,
really
very
like
nice,
your teki.
very, very nice. And then he asked me this question. He asked me, what size do you wear? And then I reversed the question. I'm asking, what size do you wear? So now I wear. Then he told me, he says, now wear size 7. So I said, I also wear size 7.
Were you actually size 7 at the time? You were just hoping he'll give you the tacky.
And the next day he came with his tackies, with his old tackies, and he donated to me and he says, here's a tacky for you. And I forced my feet into those tackies. That's where I developed the bunions.
Oh no. Hope you were able to fix them.
No, of course, that was. But you can imagine, being able to.
That was the reality.
That was the reality of what you're going through as a kid. You didn't know much, so you so what you had, you tried to make work with what you have.
I absolutely admire that. So you were talking about the helicopters continuously circulating, even right up until now. That is what our communities are plagued with. My sister, her grandchildren are they're 5, 6, they're in primary school. You hear the gunshots and immediately everyone just duck. They just lie down. And it is so easy for young kids to think, you know what, if I get involved in gangsterism, in drugs, it's quick bucks, it's quick money. I can go buy myself 10 pairs of that sneaker that you forced your feet into. So how did you escape that life? Because I'm sure some of your friends were there. I've heard one story where when you finished high school, you got offered and said, come and work with me. Let's go steal cars. But it takes such a strong character to say no for that quick money.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like something you highlighted at the age of 17 years old, a very close friend of mine, and I mean, I grew up with him. He was my neighbor, and he made the choice to actually drop out of school and pursue stealing cars, and that was his thing. And he would explain to me the opportunity of being able to make so much in a day. And the time when I just got an offer to work at a bank, which was I can remember my offer was around 4,500 back then, and this is still through an agency. And he told me that, you know what, he can make 3,000 a day by stealing X amount of cars. But you know, I always learn that the short gains will basically pay off, and in some way or form, you understand. If you do harm to someone else, it will definitely come back to you.
Back to you 10
It will
times
definitely come
over.
back to you, and I think it comes back to the principles that I was learned as a kid. I mean, I used to study the book of Proverbs and just being able to learn the book of
Oh,
Proverbs.
my parents would absolutely love you.
Yes.
So, fun fact, I'm a pastor's kid.
Oh, nice.
I was forced to read the Bible, and I was like, why do I have to? But I love to see that how you embraced it. You didn't rebel against it. For you, it was like, let me take something from here and let me learn from it.
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, I try to keep it as practical as possible. Like certain things that's said in the Bible, I definitely take it and apply it in some way or form. My business is built on the principles of the Bible, whether it's integrity, whether it's honesty. It's all reliant towards this, you understand? My team knows that this is how we do things here. And not ashamed to say that, you know what, we are Christian business, because I feel like many people shy away from that, whereas for us, there's certain non-negotiables that we do. You'll never see us doing things that is, and it's not against other businesses, but we just want to do things the right way according to what God's word says.
And that's worked for you. That was a blessing that has been bestowed on your life. But it also just reminds me that when we have a purpose, that purpose will get fulfilled in your life. And it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter which township you come out of or which city you come out of. It's holding through to those principles. But now, Legends right now is a super successful grooming enterprise. But let's start off with where it started. So you completed high school, but then you went to go work for a bank.
Yes.
And I love the story of how you say you had to call people and go like, hey, my man, you didn't pay. How did you manage to start your life in a corporate, but still knowing there's something else that's really pulling me to go and start this business?
Yeah, no, I mean it's just looking at how I started out in corporate, and I thank God for those values of being able to work in corporate, because I learned so much. Although it might seem like I'm just doing debt collecting, but you know, there's a couple of nuggets I would take from that. Like one for me is that I wasn't able to articulate myself very well. As you know, that stuttering has been part of my journey. So now I'm trying to get out of it.
And now you have to call clients every single day and asking them to pay money.
Every day. And that just broke it right there, because now you're able to speak to people on a daily basis, and now it becomes like a natural thing for you to do. And the other thing was being able to have the tenacity, even though somebody says no. It does not matter. You have to go on to the next one. You have to go on to the next one. That for me just provided me with that ability to never want to give up. Because one closed door is the next one will open.
Oh, and as an entrepreneur, don't you need that tenacity?
Yes, definitely.
There's too many no's. I don't think we tell people enough how many no's we get getting to be the successful brand that you are.
Of course. And yeah, so many values, so many nuggets that I can take from that job, which has taught me so much along the way. But I feel like barbering was always something that I leaned towards. Somehow it was something that I enjoyed doing, and not for the fact that I liked the cutting hair part as much, Because cutting hair is one thing. I mean, like, there's so many guys out there in the community that could cut hair. But being able to make people feel good about themselves. So when I started and my cousin had an internet cafe in Eldorado Park, and I asked him if I could make use of his store to actually mimic a pop-up barber while working at a bank, he agreed with the condition that I only come weekends because the landlord is not around of the building. And I said, okay, no problem. So I started out around July 2011, and all I had was a clipper and a chair. And nothing else. But there was a speaker. Of course, there was a speaker.
That's when there are brown people around. There's got to be music, right?
There's got to be music. So music
that's how
playing.
you got them to come to get their haircuts.
Yes, of course. And then I started seeing like in the beginning, there's this hype, but eventually dies down as you go along. But then I saw constant people coming each and every week, and I always wondered what makes me so different. What makes me so interesting enough for them to actually come sit on my chair. Again, I went across the road and I went to go see what the other barbers are doing and what they're doing, and putting my investigation skills to the test and visiting these barbers. And I realized for them it was much more of a monetary transaction. So I cut your hair, done, next customer. And for me, it was that relationship building element. And how I built this relationship was all I had a notebook and a pen. And I used to write down the conversation we have and your name. And next time
Naomi, you had CRM right there on your little black book, eh?
Yes. And that for me was a game changer, because now a haircut only lasts a few days. But if you make somebody feel good about themselves, and now they have a thing towards their barber, that the barber actually knows them and recognizes them.
And is interested in me. And that is not something that we find in our communities. People are just, you go to the shop, you buy and you're out, There's not that value of the customer is not necessarily felt.
No, definitely. And I think it's, with regarding that, it's basically being able to give somebody more in value than what they're paying you in monetary terms. Because if you think about it, if somebody is able to make you feel a certain way and always remind you that, you know what, you look good and you can actually achieve whatever you need to achieve, and in these conversations
is confidence too.
Then you are able to transform lives one person at a time. And I think that for me was a game changer from the Stoep.
So now you have your Stoep business. It's booming, but you still have your day job.
Yes.
You see, you started side hustle way before side hustle was popular. You had pop-up stores before that was popular. I mean, aren't you just a trendsetter? But then how did you start your first Legends? And also talk to me about how you came up with the name, because I know there's a meaning for you in the name.
Definitely. So quite interesting was that a friend of mine, so while cutting on the Stoep, a friend of mine could also cut hair. So he came and I was like, you know what, let's shake hands, let's become partners, and let's see how we can do this thing together. So we then identified a spot not far away from where the internet cafe was, and we spoke to the landlord, and the landlord told us, guys, there's no lease here. If you don't pay, you out, but this is how it's going to work. So we agreed, and we paid a deposit. On the 3rd of September 2011, we then launched just basically the two of us being able to be in the space. And we saw customers come through. We then decided to get guys from the community to actually come into the store and come learn how to cut hair. And our quiet days, which was Tuesdays and Wednesdays, we then went out to the schools, to the old age homes. We done this as a way of just wanting to give back to the community, but also upskilling the guys in the process. And we enjoyed going to the old age homes so much that we then decided to name them after our business, because they actually the legends of our community.
Legends, right?
And that's the reason why it's called Legends Barbershop.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful.
A couple of months into that, on the 4th of January, I got married, and when I got married, my partner showed me what this was. He says, "Fine, don't worry, go away. I got everything under
Go
control."
enjoy your honeymoon. Have a great
Yes.
time. I got my plots this side that I'm going to do with the business.
Yeah, I came back 6 days, and the doors were closed. And I'm like, okay, what's happening here? So then I called him, and he never answered. And I called one of the guys that was working there, and he explained to me that, you know what, this guy never paid the rent, but to make matters worse, he also never paid the guys that was working there. So standing in front of that closed doors, just thinking myself, who am I to actually think I can make a career out of cutting hair and actually do this? So disappointed, and I left barbering right there and then. I decided
So you gave up?
I gave up. That was it for me. I said, I'm never going to cut hair again, and that is it for me.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So you continued working in the bank?
Continued working in the bank.
You continued working, calling the customers that doesn't want to hear
Yes.
from you?
Continued working in the bank, continued doing my day job. But you know, it's so interesting that when something is for you, it will somehow just come after you.
Yeah.
And I can remember I actually read this verse in the Bible that says that you do not know what will succeed, either this or that. So sow your seed in the morning and wait until harvest comes. It's basically being proactive with your time in a way. That's the essence of that verse. And I thought to myself, you know what? I actually work from 8 in the morning till 4 p.m. And after hours, I have free time. Weekends, I'm not working, so might as well.
What do I do with that free time?
Just see if I can maybe get back into this. So around 2013, I then got myself a scooter and decided to go out to customers, promoting myself as the mobile barber and going as far on the highway to Four Ways, to Basonia, wherever it is, I would go.
And how did
on
you
a scooter.
find the customers? How did you market yourself to go find them out there in those outlying areas?
Yeah, so customers would basically look at me on Facebook. So I was called the Mobile Barber, and I would promote myself on Facebook. I think Facebook for me was the go-to because I would DM each and every person. I would send you a message when it's your birthday. I would DM you when I'm running a special.
Getting right into marketing,
and I'm just doing it. And I think that just gave me the confidence to being able to want to come back into the industry and understanding that you know what, I can actually do it again. I can actually take the leap of faith. And the following year, around on the 26th of July, 2014, that's when we relaunched our first store. And this time, deciding to go at it on my own and no partners, and just having the commitment of the guys that used to work there. And that's how we got started from there onwards.
What I get out of that story of how you came back and had to start, firstly, you had to take courage to say, although I failed the first time, I'm going to try this again, because failure is actually not fatal.
Yeah, no, I mean, like so I have a abbreviation for fail. It's basically the first attempt in trying. First attempt in learning, first attempt in learning. And that's exactly it, because it doesn't mean that I failed in my first store. It's not the end of me. And taking those lessons learned and being able to go back to the drawing board, and it's good to actually take some time and do some self-reflection and say, now, how am I able to come back and
do it differently or do it better?
Yes, I agree with you. I definitely agree with you. So when I came back, came up with different ways and means in terms of how we're going to do this, but still remembering that the community is at the heart of what we do. And that still continued to be our driving force.
And also that no one is going to come and put that success into your hand. No one said, Sheldon, here is a thriving Legends 70 store business.
Yes.
You had to go out there and say, you know what, I'm going to work those extra hours. Yes, God has given all of us 24 hours a day. 8 hours is for my current employer. I will be the best
Yes.
employee, but I have those other hours and I'm going to work with it. I'm going to do something. You could have just come home and go, I'm tired, I'm exhausted. We all have a long day.
Yes.
It's not a short commute from Johannesburg. You were probably in town, downtown
Yes,
Johannesburg,
yes,
all
yeah,
the
the
way
traffic.
to Aldo's. The traffic,
The
it's
traffic
probably
is
a
more
2 hours.
depressing.
Yes, it's probably a 2 hours drive. And then you still picked up and decided, I'm going to start
to
my
do
business.
this. Yes. I think that's the toughest part, because being able to reset your mindset according to how you would like to define your future. There was a book I was reading at the time by Napoleon Hill. I think it was Think and Grow Rich, that said a very famous quote that said that I am the captain of my ship, I'm the master of my fate. And that's basically saying that you are accountable for your life.
Yes.
You take full responsibility for each and every decision that happens in your life. And you and I think it goes back to being able to play the blame game, because you can imagine being able to be closed for X amount and just telling people, you know what, I closed my store because of this person. And I mean, like, you can go around with that tag the whole time, but are you willing to take accountability for everything that happens to you as well? Because we know some things can be unfair, but you have to take the responsibility to say, I am fully responsible for everything that takes place according to my part.
Exactly. We can't just sit and blame others. And also, you're not different, you're not special from anyone else. And this is why I wanted to have this conversation, because you come from a very ordinary background. You grew up in the very same community that our friends, some of our family are still there. The only difference is trying something. Starting something with no money. You didn't have a multi-million-dollar investor that said, hey, Sheldon, I think you got a gift. Would you like R1 million to go and start this business? No, it didn't start there. You had to demonstrate and show this is what I can do.
Yeah, no, quite interesting. So, the other day I was actually sharing my story with a friend of mine. He's the founder of Stoep. And I was sharing my story with him, and he couldn't believe it, because he was so in shock. Because he was like, how are you able to do this? Because in his words, he said, you know what, I actually come from a background where my dad actually gave me the opportunity to want to do things, you understand? So it was by choice that I came an entrepreneur for him. But for me, it was out of the circumstances that actually drove me to become an entrepreneur. And it's not a decision that you just make just by saying, you know what, this is what I want to do. But eventually, I think the purpose behind what you do speaks more than anything else, because now I'm driven by wanting to serve others much more and understanding that my purpose is purely to leave an impact on the lives of people that I come in contact with, whether it's our customers, whether it's the barbers that's coming into our store, or whether it's our trainees that's in our training center. Just the other day I went to the training center, just to share with you, and boys and girls that's in the training center, that's from our communities, that actually said, you know what, I want to become a barber. And now, Naomi, you can think about it, for girls to make that decision, it's very tough, because now you can understand the current circumstances that we find ourselves in. Just to give you a snapshot, that 5 out of 10 youth in our society is unemployed. Whether you have a degree, whether you just have matric it does not matter. It does not matter. So
There just ain't opportunities.
there's no opportunities out there. So now you can imagine for a lady to actually put the pride aside and say, you know what, I'll do whatever it takes, but I want to be able to put food on the table. And I think that's what we're trying to do with the spaces that we're in, that we are able to be a blessing to others, and understanding that the opportunity needs to be provided. And I made this bold goal in the beginning of the year to say that I would like to employ 1,000 people within Legends Barbershop by the end of 2025.
How we tracking?
So quite interesting
Getting there.
So quite interesting that so I put this thing out and I said, and I put out the call to action to say that if you know any youth that's unemployed that needs the opportunity, please do send the details and let it apply online. And with that alone, we received over 1,600 applications to come through. And
you probably don't even have the capacity to take it. Like, you want to do everything. You want to take everyone on. You want to give them all the opportunity.
Yes. But out of that, we managed to at least take on 400 new applicants, and this was at the end of February. And 400 applicants is actually at our training centers. Our training centers are packed to capacity. Just to give you an idea.
And the training, you provide that for free, right? They don't have to pay for it. This is part of you giving back to the community.
Yeah, so that's the one thing, is being able to give guys and girls opportunity to actually come into a space where they're able to get a skill, and the skill basically they will learn the skill by going through this course. All they have to do is just avail themselves and be part of this. And one of the things that when you visit the training centers is that because a lot of people ask me, now, how do they learn how to cut hair? And they actually learn on people that's in the community, and they give free haircuts to the people that's in the community. So
you have a double impact. You're training people, plus you're giving back to those that can't afford.
Yes. The target, so each and every trainee has a target of at least 6 people that they have to cut in a day. So you can multiply 6 people times 400 trainees in one day. That will give you the amount of heads that we actually turn over in a week and in a month.
Sheldon, that is amazing. Thank you. Thank you for the work that you guys are doing. And that giving back still is at the heart of what it is that you're doing.
Yeah.
But now we've kind of like half at the end of where you are right now. You had the one business, you started scaling up.
Yes.
When did you finally leave your job and started like building and believing that this is something that I can now, will put food on my table, would feed me and my family, because you have a wife, there's a lot more responsibility. It's not just yourself that you need to take care of.
Yeah.
So talk to me about that.
So I mean, like, relaunch 2014, and a week later I tendered my resignation at the bank, and I decided.
And the bank thought that you were crazy.
Yes,
this is not an investable business.
So my manager laughed at me and he was like, "Who do you think tried to make a career out of cutting hair?" And I never looked back from there. I mean, like, today I'm truly blessed that I made that decision and not being able to listen to people, and being able to have a target of at least 5 stores in 5 years. The first year was really difficult, because now you keep the funds that you have, and you keep on plowing back into the business, whether you're buying flyers, whether you're doing advertising, whatever you're doing, just to.
And you're also everything in the business. You're marketing, you're the barber, you are the accountant, you're the secretary, you're going to make the appointments.
Yes, so you're trying to juggle all of these things at once. And you're doing these things, but I can remember the one thing that I've learned is that especially when it comes to money, especially being able to be as disciplined as I was with money, is that whoever can be trusted with little can be trusted with much. Whoever can be faithful with little can be faithful with much. Yeah. So I had this goal of opening 5 stores in 5 years, but I needed to understand what this current circumstance that I find myself in, only having one store, having X amount of customers, how am I able to serve my customers to the best of my abilities so that the demand can increase and I can become talked about, because people will start talking, word of mouth will start spreading, and people will start talking about this barbershop. And how am I able to take what I have and say, you know what, I am going to open X amount of stores within X amount of time, and basically using the profits, constantly reinvest in my business, like a snowball effect. Basically, you start off small, you open one store, then the next time you open another store, and slowly by surely getting into it. And there's so many hiccups along the way. There's sometimes you feel like you are failing, and you feel like, why am I doing this? Are you crazy? Yes. I mean, like, being able to have that. I mean, so many people thought I was crazy. There's like so many people.
But you are crazy. It's only the crazy people that change the
that
world,
actually change stuff. Yeah. I mean, like, I was told off so many times to say, who are you to think that you can make a franchise business out of cutting hair, because nobody has done it before. Who are you to think that you're going to be the first one to do that?
How did you come up with the franchising idea? I was very curious about that, because it is not, you always talk about not being able to go to university. So it's not that you sit in a class and you were taught these are the business models that you can, like your foresight in being able to grow and constantly looking at the horizon, scanning, and it's like, oh, this is what we can do. This hasn't been done. How did you come up with that concept?
For that concept, yes. So quite interesting enough, a friend of mine back in 2019. So I found a space that was near to where he stayed, and so I told him, you know what, I'm thinking about opening a store here, and he was like, you know what, why don't we become partners? And I'm like, you know what,
I don't know if I want another partner.
I mean, like, he's a very good guy, and I trust him. I definitely trust him.
Yes.
But I don't think I'll be able to walk that path again. And I'm like, okay, you know what? What's the best way for us to do this? So then I started investigating about franchising and started putting my head around it. There was always this question around franchising as we were busy scaling up. But I never saw it as the need to actually want to franchise. And the one thing that I've learned basically is being able just to put that systems in place with all these amount of stores that we had, and him being the 10th store. So he passed to, so this friend of mine is Ricky Rick. So Ricky Rick,
he's so rest in peace.
Yeah. So Ricky Rick was the first person to actually franchise back in 2019 when we opened the 10th store at in Waterfall Corner, and I think that also helped in terms of making the business become much more relevant in terms of the culture. But franchising, that was the start of it, and then we started receiving a lot of franchise requests. But it has definitely helped tremendously. I mean, like I've learned so many things through franchising. Just to think about it, that I'm just thinking about it now in retrospect, is that I didn't know anything about franchising back then.
And now you're the chairperson of the Franchising Association, right?
Yeah, so now I'm like the chairperson elect of the Franchising Association of South Africa, which is quite interesting. And I think with this, being able just to make it much more easier for people to get the knowledge around franchising, because many people see it as far-fetched.
It does feel far-fetched.
Many people say, you know what, I won't be able to franchise my business. How am I able to build my business, scale my business? But am I willing to actually put my business in the hands of someone else that can actually run with my business? And these are the type of questions that you ask yourself. And there's risks, but there's also rewards as well. There's also things that you need to consider as a small business owner. So yeah, I think my goal now is trying to promote the knowledge around franchising, trying to see how we can assist small and medium businesses to actually look at the possibilities of what it is to franchise and how they can get their business to scale much more faster. Because at the end of the day, it impacts our unemployment rate, because the more franchises are open, the more the unemployment rate
Job opportunities
drops.
there
Yes.
are, yeah. It always feels like you need so much money that it's almost impossible to also get into it. And like maybe just sharing that knowledge as well for people to understand it's actually not that expensive, or it's not that complicated to get into it.
No, definitely. It's not as difficult as people might seem. And we know that franchising has been tainted over the years because people get themselves involved in wrong franchisees, and that's the reason why I feel like the association that we're part of is speaking towards ethical franchising, speaking towards how are we able to build healthy franchises for our sector, and how are we able to promote this. So, for example, one of the benefits of being part of the association is that you get free legal advice from the association that will guide you along the way, that will be able to help you in making the right decisions. If there's an arbitration matter or a mediation matter, we are able to step in and we are able to assist
to support you
with that franchise or franchisee dispute. So there is benefits towards being part of the association, but I think one of my major goals is just trying to have that lasting impact on businesses.
Yeah. So you now have 70 stores. You're not only in South Africa.
Yes, so we have 74 stores.
Yay! I love that. And the one thing I noticed between, I think, 2020 and 2021, you literally doubled in size.
That's right. So the craziest thing was that 2019, we had about 12 stores, and then COVID hit. Remember, we had COVID, and when COVID hit, it was such a difficult period for us because we were hit the longest.
You were a people's business.
Everyone
was walking around with afros, couldn't get to a barber, couldn't get to our hairstylist, and I've got to give my hairstylist like a shout out, Gabby. I missed it during that time.
Yes. So we were closed like for 4 months straight, and during this time, I think the question always lingered in our mind is that are we able to come back, and is people still going to cut their hair? Yeah. I think for the crazy
people always need to have their hair done.
The crazy thing is that and I think that period helped us a lot, being able to just focus on why we exist as a business. And I can remember this one time we didn't have much reserves, and we had only funds to pay our staff. And we managed to pay our staffs, and what was only left was around 90-something thousand in our bank account. And I just felt God speak to me, and during that time it says like, people are struggling out here. How are we able to help them? So then I rallied out all the guys in the different places, send money to Eastern Cape, Western Cape, wherever you are, and let us go out in the community. Let's go buy food parcels and let us go give to the communities where they need. And we've done this, and I must say that has been one of our memorable times that we can remember, because you know how it is, like when you give in your time of need, there's something that happens. There's like a miracle working power that just happens, that just fulfills your heart. Of course, we didn't have the money that's needed to build a business.
You didn't know where the next salary was going to come from, because people were still not coming. They were still not able to use it.
We were unsure about what's next. There was
Could
always
have been complete end of Legends as we know it.
Could be 5, 6 months, 8 months. We never know. But I think for us it was just being obedient and understanding that we exist to serve people. We exist because we don't exist by ourselves in order to help those in need.
And those are also your customers. Those are the people that need you. So
yes,
obviously you didn't do it for that reason, but after COVID, that was the memory that they have of Legends was there for us.
Yeah, I mean, like when we came back, I can remember we came back around, it was July, around the 20th of July 2020. And when we came back, we told everyone that we're going to give out free haircuts to everyone, only on one condition. You need to bring a food parcel, whether it's a tin of baked beans or whatever it is. Just bring a food parcel for us to give out to those in need, because people were still struggling. And people came out in numbers. There was queues at all the stores. I mean, like, we didn't have space in the shop to actually keep those groceries. But people just came and people just donated. And the following day, we sent our guys out in the community and they gave out to the people that was lacking. And I think that's of wanting to make a difference, wanting to see people not struggle, and wanting to see how we're able to help those in need.
And how did you make the salaries?
Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, like that particular month was the last month.
Okay.
That particular month was the last month of
And
COVID.
then we were like, we can leave our houses now.
Yeah,
I cannot believe that we lived through that time.
it was so tough. And just to go back to your point, was that the following year we doubled in terms of the number of locations, where we had about 22 locations by the end of the financial year. And it speaks towards, I think it speaks towards being able just to be faithful. I think for most part of it, we can talk about how well Legends service their customers, how well our experiences in our shops. But you know, there's something miraculous that comes with it when you put God first, and when you understand that, you know, everything comes from Him and He is the source of everything that we do. And understanding that you are just a conduit of trying to make things happen.
Yeah.
And
You sure you're not a pastor?
No, I'm a pastor in a marketplace. So
Right. We all have a place where we are placed to serve, and
Yes.
where we are placed to make an impact. And in everything that you do, like from a young boy, I can just see that signs of wanting to make a difference, wanting to impact, making sure that, you know
Yes.
what, you are pushing. And it happened to be that business is the place where you've succeeded, and God has obviously given you a gift to be able to multiply and create such an incredible and awesome brand.
Yeah, and I think it's so important that once you understand that God and business goes hand in hand, and then you understand that, like, for example, like, I can't tell you that where our next customer is going to come from, but if I must show you the amount of people that walk into our stores on a daily basis, and I wonder who speaks to them. It can only be God that says, you know what, go to Legends.
Yeah, that's it.
You
That's
say,
where you
go
need
and
to go
support
to.
Legends.
Yeah,
And I think that has been a blessing for us.
Yeah. But besides just the barbershops that you have, you also have products.
Yes.
You have diversified the business. How did you come up with those ideas, and what is it that you have, and what is next?
Yeah, so quite interesting enough. So our product line has been doing really well. So we started out with a few products just pre-COVID, and our products was mainly trying to solve problems. So there was this hairstyle that the guys were struggling to make, was the waves, and we came up with our own wave cream. So the wave cream became our #1 seller back in 2019. Our Coca-Cola, to say the least. That was the one product that people love so much. Till this day,
They still love your wave
we
cream.
can't keep up with the volumes, and people get angry when it's sold out. And we try to replace it with another product, but people are like, no, they want that product. They want that product. And I think that has been the catalyst for our range. So we have different ranges, from face range to wave range, beard, and being able to tap into a grooming space of products where we're able to serve our customers and understanding that the problems that they have. So we won't necessarily go into a research and development phase if we don't understand the problem that that our customers are facing. And once we understand the problem, and then we're able to come up with a solid solution as to how are we able to give them the best suitable product for our customer base. And just looking in the space of this short time, our products has been really, really doing well. And just to share with you that we listed in all retailers, whether it is...
And it's all major retailers,
all major
Yeah.
retailers, Clicks, Discam, Spar, Pick and Pay. We're quite vast. Online presence, where it's Take-A-Lot, our online store. I think that has been the driving force behind the products. And quite interesting enough, I want to share this with you. So the product is going, and I'm asking, what's the next thing that I can do? Because I'm always looking at the next thing. And I meet, and I get called for an interview on radio, and at that particular time there was a problem that was being faced within our society where barbers were cutting customers under the tree, and they were getting these bumps and stuff. And the lady called me, and she was like, so what do you think the customers must do? Should they all come to Legends Barbershop to come cut their hair?
I'd like
said,
that,
no.
but there's a lot of other people that also need an income out there.
Yeah. And you know, while speaking to her, so I was explaining to her, put yourself in that barber that's cutting it under the tree. I mean, like, just think about what his needs are, and think about what he's actually prioritizing for that day. If that barber makes 50 rand that day, do you think he's going to have money to buy products or to actually buy new equipment and stuff?
Or to
I don't
even
think
sanitize
so.
it.
Yes,
Like,
yes. So it's like
doesn't
that's
happen.
far from his mind. All he's thinking about is being able to take that money and putting bread on the table by the end of the day, because he has a family that's waiting for him at home. And I said, you know what, I'm going to go on this venture to actually come up with a solution as to how we can help the barbers that's cutting it under the tree. And basically I went on this thing, being able to see, it's been like 2 years now, 2 years odd, where we have done some research in terms of how are we able to produce affordable equipment for barbers, and also helping them to not lean on certain things, because they sit with the battery and that's all they have, because if that battery breaks or there's load shedding or there's something,
load shedding.
and there's always a disruption in between. So then we decided, you know what, I'm going to introduce our own clipper range, which is called the Fade Company. So we launched it last year, around August last year. And the Fade Company is a clipper, basically produces clippers. So whether it's your clipper, your trimmer, your shaver, and all to the professional range, the professional standard of barbering, but at a very affordable price. And one of our commitments was that for every 10 clippers that's been bought, we're going to donate to the guy that's cutting it under the tree. We're going to help those in need. And that's part of our mission, trying to help the barbers in the community, trying to see how can we play our part in actually being the assistance to making their lives much better, because who's going to help them?
And you're also helping them with their business. You're also helping them getting more customers that where the customers coming back doesn't have the issues that they have with the existing barber. So if anyone watching us today say, you know what, I want to get involved, I want to support, how can they reach you, Sheldon?
So they can reach me on LinkedIn, which is Sheldon Tatchell.
That's how I reached
Yes. So
he does respond, active. People. He does.
Yes.
As busy as you are, I can imagine how incredibly busy you are.
Yeah, so I'm quite active on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is the first thing. Facebook and Instagram. It's Sheldon Tatchell, Facebook and Instagram. And that's exactly where you can find me on.
Okay. Because I'm hoping that as people are watching, they say, you know what, I can see your purpose and I can see your mission. And for us, it's about supporting that mission, right? It's about making sure that we are also sowing and giving back. And not all of us can be a Sheldon that can go into product development.
Yes.
You even manufacture all of these products that you have?
Yes, we started our
That's a
manufacturing
whole
plant.
different kind of business.
So we started.
So you're like literally a business mogul. That's what you're trying to say to me.
Yeah. So we're doing an end-to-end production of our products, which also took place last year, where we brought in because of the demands of our products, we decided let us go into the manufacturing side of our business.
Absolutely.
So quite active. I think the last thing that I can share with you is that so last year also so there's this massive event that takes place within our community at Eldorado Park and
The marathon.
The marathon. And what happens is that people look forward to this marathon. And last year, I can remember there was about 1,000 people that participated, which is quite big for our community. I mean, it was such an amazing experience last year. And by myself being able to attend it and actually running in the marathon, I understood that the impact that this could have on the community. So I decided to team up with the guys and see how can Legends be part of this marathon and taking back to the roots as to where we come from.
Yes, running through the community.
And then we then shake hands and we decided let us work on this together and let's see how we're able to make a difference within a community of Eldorado Park. So the marathon took place on the 23rd of February 2025, but before that, there was so many activities happening within the community. Like we used to go out to schools and we used to do like shoe drives at our shops and take those same shoes with the kids that will be running in the marathon and actually giving them the shoes so they can be ready when they go run within the marathon. You know what was so hard? So it's being able to see this one kid. So there's this park runs that takes place as well. So I spotted this one kid and this kid was running with slippers, a 5-kilometer run, and he was running so fast. And with our partners, we decided, you know what, let us make a difference. Let's give them the tools needed to actually support them. And the event took place on the 23rd of Feb, such a success. There was so many people that came through. Yes.
So I saw it. I witnessed the marathon, yeah?
It was such an amazing experience. I mean, over 3,000 people. We couldn't take more. Because we were worried about the capacity of the stadium, being able to accommodate so many people. But people came out in numbers from the community and also people that's not from the community. We had CEOs of major companies that came to come run. It was the first time.
I was about to say, with some of them, it was probably the very first time.
Very first time actually being in Eldorado Park and being able to experience what the community experiences. And on that particular time slot, so there was nothing negative that took place. Like everything that you hear about our community, everything that it was such an amazing experience. And the first time ever I could say that, I was so proud to be part of the community. I actually ran with the Minister of Sports, Mr. Caton McKenzie. So we were running together and being able just to be part of the whole race.
Yeah. He's so passionate about also going back to grassroots.
Yes.
And impacting. Thinking about that kid, he probably has such a gift, but we take for granted the basic equipment that these children don't have.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. And so race is done, and people still talking about it today. But guess what happens? We are still doing community activities till this day. We're still going out to the schools. We have a sanitary drive that we're giving out to all the schools. We're giving out stationery packs to to early childhood development. There's so many activities that's taking place within a community that as we sit here and just to see the impact and the ripple effect of what the Township Marathon, Legends Township Marathon has played on the people. So I'm really grateful that that was the vehicle of making change, you see, because most of the time these events take place and
it ends.
Just
The
ends
event
right
ends
there.
and people leave.
But people can still talk about it till today because of the long-lasting impact that it will continue to have within a community.
Yeah, but that also takes me back to your health journey. I know you speak about how you have gone on a weight loss journey, and I need to take some tips from you.
Yes. Yeah, so so quite interesting. A year ago, I actually made a decision, and I was like,
just decided. I was like, hi, today I decide. I like how you decide. I'm going to start a business today. I'm going to start a health journey today. It all starts with that one decision,
It really decides with that decision. I mean, for me, it was those excuses that I keep making myself. And like people around you will encourage you and always talk about, no, you big bone, don't worry about it.
This is
how
you
look.
You're good.
You've been looking like this the rest of your life. What you thinking about doing? I mean, like, you're not fit, you understand? And just coming to the reality that, you know what, I am overweight and I have to make a change. And if I don't make this change, I don't think that I'll be able to see the rest of my life in this condition.
And you also have so much stresses on top of it. Being an entrepreneur. So you have to make sure that your body can handle the pressure that you put it under.
Yes. And also the lifestyle that you live, because understanding that the lifestyle will have to change. So there's certain changes that you need to make. There's certain things that you need to do that needs to be in line with your goals. So then I started out and I said to myself, you know what, I'm going to take it one day at a time. I'm not going to rush it, and whether I do a 3-kilometer walk a day or 3-kilometer walk run each and every day, but I'm going to do it every single day.
Yeah.
And that was my
Sundays
commitment. Sundays included. And I would have rest days, and maybe I have like 2 rest days in between. But that was my goal, and I started signing up for these races, started registering for all these races, because you have to prepare yourself now for these races and not be unprepared for these particular events. So each and every month I would either do a 10-kilometer or 21-kilometer, and eventually it increased from there, because depending on your fitness. And that was one of the things from a physical standpoint that just kept me going, because I'm working towards it, towards a target, which is actually being able to finish that particular race. And that was the one thing. The other thing was being able to make the dietary changes within me, and understanding that I need to eat certain things, which is going to eventually affect my insulin. And being able to understand what is insulin and how does insulin affect you.
How does that impact it,
How does that impact you? And eventually you don't want to be insulin resistant. You don't want to be the person that realizes that 60 years old and you can't make any changes. You can't. Yes. And understanding that process and understanding what are the foods that I need to eat, being able to be very, very disciplined with that, but not depriving myself from certain things. So if Sheldon goes to a braai, Sheldon will still go eat the meat, Sheldon will still go eat certain things, but just understanding that, you know, as a person, as an individual, you want to be able to see through all of these changes within you, because you're not doing it for now. You're doing it for many years to come.
It's holistic.
Yes.
Sheldon, thank you so much for spending time with us.
Yes.
Do you have any last parting words, wisdom that you'd like to share with us, with anyone watching today?
Thank you. So thank you very much for inviting me. I think it was truly amazing.
Thank you for honoring the invite.
Thank you very much, Naomi. It felt like I was talking to somebody that understands the journey and understands exactly where we come from. And I think for anyone that's out there, it's just being able to say there is hope.
Yeah.
There is hope. And you know, if I can sit in front of you and explain to my journey of to where I'm coming from, that I think there can be a next Sheldon out there that can actually change the narrative as well.
Yeah.
And if I'm able to inspire any kid that's struggling, that sees that there's lack of opportunity, just know that there is hope, no matter what you might face, no matter what you might go through right now, that if Sheldon can do it, you can also do it.
Thank you so much. And we wish you absolutely everything of the best.
Thank you.
We know that this is just the beginning of the Sheldon Empire and the Legends Empire, but more from an impact perspective. And if there's anything that we can do to support that vision and to support that goal, please let us know. I hope everyone watching today would really support, especially the community initiatives. I have friends, I have family that is still out in the community. There's a lot of work that is still done. And I know you do a lot. There's a lot of people that are doing, but we need more initiatives like yours that empowers our youth, that empowers people. Teach someone to fish and, you know,
they will fish for the rest of their lives.
Exactly. But if we just give it to them, it is for today, it's for now. So thank you for teaching all those barbers how to fish and for creating all of those opportunities. It is really inspirational. It is admirable. There goes my English. But it really just has been such an honor, and I just want to thank you.
Thank you very much. It was really amazing.